Hey everybody, happy Sunday to everyone. We'll go ahead and get started here in just a moment. We're reporting live adjacent from the Plaza Hotel, overlooking the Steinway building, as well as Central Park Tower and 220 Central Park South. As always, if you could hear us and if we're streaming in 1080p, just go ahead and give us a thumbs up in the chat. We'll go ahead and get started in just a moment. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, everybody. I think we can go ahead and get started now. So good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Walks in Wall Street. Today is Sunday, June 23rd, 2024. The current time is 9:21 p.m. Eastern, and we are reporting live right here from Central Park South. I know we were supposed to be 34th Street, Hudson Yards tonight. We're gonna get there eventually, so I do apologize. It was a pretty busy day today, so I had to be in the office for most of it. So we'll head down to the Hudson Yards, and if the High Line is still open, we'll venture up over there and check it out. Now, this is gonna be a full force trading week on Wall Street. Obviously, last week was a shortened trading week because of Juneteenth. On that Wednesday, markets were closed, banks were closed, post office was closed, and all that good stuff. So what I think I want to do before we officially get started, if you go ahead and take a look in the chat, look for my name. It's going to be highlighted in yellow, and I'm going to drop a link. It should be to marketwatch.com. Now, I do this every Sunday. This is really, really helpful for people. This is also really helpful for me. MarketWatch and Bloomberg does this, but I prefer to use MarketWatch. I'm currently in a beef with Bloomberg. This is a long story, but maybe one day I'll tell you guys. Anyway, so if you click that MarketWatch link, this is going to be the entire U.S. economic calendar for the week, starting with on Monday, June 24th. We're going to hear from a few Fed presidents as they speak, but the most important day, in my opinion, for next week is going to be Friday, June 28th, as we get inflation data. Now, about 2 weeks ago, we got the CPI numbers out, which did come in a little bit light or lower than expected. The consensus estimate was for about 3.4% for the headline CPI number, We came in at 3.3%, still well above that 2% Fed target, but we're actually going to get the PCE index out, which is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. And that is going to be coming out on Friday. While we're talking about that, I'm going to go ahead and drop another link in the chat. Just give me a second. Which is going to bring you to the BEA.gov data center, where you can check out the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index with a few years look back. So if you are building your models or you just want to take a look around the website, feel free to do that. It is a valuable resource. As always, if you type !CPI in the chat, that'll bring you to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website for CPI. But the link that I just posted in the chat is going to bring you to the BEA.gov. Page is going to look something like this, and that is going to take you to the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, which we will get out on Friday. Last week, we talked about existing home sales. Existing home sales came in extremely light in the United States in terms of overall transaction volume, but what didn't come in light was the price. We have a new record high in terms of median home price in America. I believe it's $419,300 for the median home in the United States. On Thursday, we're going to continue on with that housing data, but it's going to be pending new home sales, okay? Wednesday, we're going to get new home sales data in terms of closed transactions and median price. And Thursday, we're going to get pending home sales. So a lot of interesting leading economic data coming out this week. If we shift gears over to commodities, lumber's getting hammered in a major way. Sorry about that. Lots of mosquitoes tonight. Lumber's getting hammered. Those prices are coming down, which could potentially benefit home builders and increase margins. Also, if anybody is maybe in the market for building their dream home or building a new extension on your home, well, you may be wanting to watch the price of lumber too, because it's getting rocked. So let's go ahead and transition over here to futures, if we may. S&P 500 E-mini futures contract just opened. If my internet would work, just give me one moment. We'll take a look at S&P 500 E-mini futures. We're down about 11 points. Futures are trading at 55.23. Over to the NASDAQ 100, ticker symbol NQ. We're also down about 44 points, 19,938 for the NASDAQ. And last but not least, the YM, which is the Dow Jones Industrial Average E-mini futures, down 111 points, 39,470. Take a quick peek at crude oil, or light crude futures, which is ticker symbol CL. We're down almost about a point, $80 a barrel. We'll see if that can hold. And finally, last but not least, as a quick reminder, if you want a full outlook on the market, all of my market thoughts, I sent it out to everybody in the chat on Thursday. So if you want to read all of our equity research for free, you can go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen, punch in your email, and it'll take you to our equity research letter called Behind the Street. We did a deep dive into the S&P, NASDAQ 100, talked about historical extension above the 50-day, how a pullback is probably in the cards. Did a deep dive into semiconductors. Ticker symbol SOXX is the semiconductor ETF. You have major TMLs like NVIDIA and Broadcom showing signs that they're topping a little bit. Maybe all but short term. We did short term and long term NASDAQ market indicators in terms of the ratio between new highs and new lows on NASDAQ. And we talked about the debt market, particularly junk bonds and high yield debt. So if you want to check that out, everybody, just go ahead, scan your QR code on the screen, punch in your email, and that is our Substack, Behind the Street. We now have 5,000 readers, a little over 5,000 readers, which I appreciate. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to close up the laptop, say hello to everyone in the chat, and we'll do our best. I guess we'll do our best to try to get all the way down to the high line tonight. So thanks for joining.
Yeah, I told her, I was like, fuck it. Because, like, I walked in. And she was like, oh, like, I'm still picking off from work. She's, like, right here. She's, like, right here. So she's really, like, that. So she's like, oh, like, I can tell you.
Alrighty, guys, let's see what we got. What do we got here? I see Lance, Western Mass Dave. Hey, Dave, see you. Trust you've had a great weekend. Isaac is here. Alan, what's up? This is 103 degrees here tomorrow. It's gonna be freaking brutal. Wow. Yeah, it's about, I think it's 60% humidity in New York City today. Here's the Sherry Netherland Hotel. Absolutely beautiful. MG says, hey Tom, another nice night in the city. We have Professor in the chat. Oh, I forgot. Professor. Is the appropriate pronunciation of your name Dario instead of Dario? Can you let me know in the chat if that's appropriate? And if so, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. I had somebody send me a message that it's Dario with the little accent. So my apologies. Joe C, what's up? Says, I think the High Line closes at 10 p.m. Ooh, does it really? I think, you know, I don't know about that, actually. I think it may be open 30 minutes later in the summer. We'll try. Look, we'll do the best we can. I know in my office, so. Professor Dario, got it. Okay. Yeah, so you pronounce it with the tilde, I think it's called. That's cool. But look, guys, it should be a pretty busy week. A full week of trading. Last week was rather muted, and I think we may see a little bit of volatility. I think this market's due for a little bit of a pullback. We have historical extension over the 50-day. So Brad's brain, this is record high in home price sales. Interesting number. I wonder if it's indicative of lower economic strata needing to stay. Well, I don't know. I mean, so there's two things, right? Last week, we got existing home sales. This week, we're gonna get new home sales, so new development. And look, you're probably gonna see more transaction in new development, if I had to take a guess. Because if you're buying from a sponsor, if you're buying from a developer, there's probably more things that they can do to get a deal done. If you're, like, let's say if I'm selling my house, for example, I'm probably not going to have the wherewithal to be able to buy down somebody's interest rate. Well, let me get this out of the way. And help them out on closing costs. But if you're buying new development, and you know, a lot of these developers are pretty well capitalized and generally speaking doing pretty well, if they want to move product, not only are they willing to knock a little bit off the list price, but they can take care of you on the back end. Maybe they'll even throw in, assuming you're buying in a condo or buying in an HOA community, they may contribute to your working capital and say, you don't have to pay common charges for the first 24 months. I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm also interested to see if there's going to be any verbiage from home builders next week as it relates to lumber prices. Because if you look at lumber futures, I mean, a total 180 of what they were. Does anybody remember about, man, this must have been 2 years ago now. It's crazy that it was 2 years. It doesn't feel like it. But the meme was that lumber prices were so high that people were substituting lumber with gold bars, right? And like these memes online. Now it's the exact opposite. Lumber prices are coming down quite materially. So who knows? If you're thinking of, you know, if you own a plot of land and you're like, you know what, I wanted to build, you know, my dream house on it. Maybe now's not the worst time to do that with materials coming down. The only problem is labor. It's very difficult to find labor right now, even still. And if you do find labor, you got to pay up in a big way. Solo 401, what's up? New England Crypto, what's up? Bitcoin's getting hit, breaking back below the 50-day. Richard says, I'm a builder. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? If you can, like, what are you seeing in the market in terms of, from what you're seeing from clients? What can you tell us? Mohammed Youssef says, hey Tom, here in Egypt. What's up? Thanks so much for joining us as we're standing outside of the beautiful Plaza Hotel. Quite stunning. Carl Roth says, Tom, housing starts are booming. ECD says construction financing is very expensive. Peters is on Monday, CrowdStrike. Yeah, ticker symbol CRWD will be added to the S&P 500. Yeah, that's another, I think we were talking about that major cyber attack that happened last week on a lot of the car dealerships in the United States. And to Alan's point, he works at a car dealership, to use his words, I'll paraphrase, he said it rendered about half the dealerships in the country useless. Now, I was reading an updated article earlier today, and they said all of this stuff should be sorted out within the week. But still, I mean, that's a massive, massive breach, and just adds to the fact that cybersecurity will be a growing theme. And probably this isn't the last of these major cyber attacks, especially as we head into election time. Less than a half a year, we're going to be electing a new president, so there will be was at its high, but it has gone down like $12 right now for 2x4s. Yeah, I mean, if you look at lumber futures, I think even right now, literally right now, getting hammered, which I think is good. Now, I have a question for you specifically, since you're a builder. What are your thoughts on the labor market, like for skilled labor? Is it difficult to find people, difficult to find tradesmen? Like, what are you seeing in your area where you build? And has it been a problem? Is it not a problem at all? Is it a factor? I'd like to know if you could provide any insight there. New England Crypto says, I hadn't heard about that hack. Yeah, I feel as if they tried to keep it quiet, but that's why I spend so much time on the X platform or Twitter. I feel as if that's where you get the biggest breaking news is on X now. Brad's Brain says, I don't think the record high resale home price is good at all. It's definitely a very, very interesting market, for sure, for reasons that we've talked about, to your point. That building in the distance is 53 West 53rd Street. Josh says, Tom, electricians are in high demand these days. Yeah, I think all tradespeople, for sure. Trying to get to as many comments as possible. Edward Adams, the Highline is closed at 8 p.m. on Sundays. Bummer. Bummer, bummer. Stephen F says, question I saw on the Substack that there's going to be videos. That's awesome. How long do you anticipate these videos to be? Who's helping in creating them? It's just probably just going to be me doing a screen share behind my desk. I've been meaning to do it for a while. It's just pure procrastination on my end. No excuse. But they are coming. They are coming. Because one of the things that I've found, and Edward Adams, thank you for checking, by the way. I had no idea. I probably should have checked the time where the Highline is going to open and close. But the broadcast is fun. I love doing the live streams. I'll always do them. It's very, very enjoyable for me. But I think some important concepts that we talk about not everybody can join for 2 hours, which I understand. So I think by making, not only writing the newsletter, which I'll continue to write forever, by making bite-sized videos, maybe 10 minutes long, and putting them out periodically, it's a little bit easier for people to play that back in terms of rewatching it. I don't know, I think it'll be interesting to try to do it.
I will go somewhere.
All right, Josh, dude, all tradesmen are going to be breeded out in AZ. Hold on 1 second. It's prime time to start a residential handyman biz. Sorry, my chat's messing up. Brad's Brain says applicants are hard to find these days. I interviewed 2 very qualified applicants in the last 2 weeks and am making offers, but that was out of the blue. Prior to that, it's been very tight. No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, look, it'll be interesting to see. And, because look, and I'm dealing with this pretty much every day in New York City, because it turns the deals upside down, right, if we're just being honest, right? If you're running the math, if you're running the numbers to say, does it make more financial sense to buy or more financial sense to rent right now? Generally speaking, this is going to be a big, broad, general statement. In a lot of cases, it makes more financial sense to rent right now. So it just, because particularly if you can't come in aggressive with an all cash offer, right? Because holding, a 30-year fixed at 6.5% or 7%, when prices haven't come down all that much, I mean, it's like you could rent the same place for $15,000 a month. But if you were to buy that, your overhead is going to be like $27,000. So a lot of times it puts those deals underwater, and we have to have conversations with sellers to say, look, if you really want to move this product, you have to understand the math that the buyers are doing. And if they have to take out financing, and if rates are 6.5% to 7.5%, it's not going to make financial sense for these people. Where there can be a little bit more negotiability is if you have a very firm and strong cash offer, right? Then you could probably have a little bit of negotiability. But what I've been seeing is, in order for these deals to kind of work, buyers have been asking for, seller financing structure. But the problem is this: if I'm a seller, right, seller financing is usually SOFR plus about 500 basis points. So the standard overnight lending rate, and then you tack on, 500 basis points for seller financing. Most people most sellers, they just want a clean deal. They don't want to take on more risk, get involved with the financing piece. And many people are asking for seller financing at like 4%. A seller is not going to lend you money at 4% when a bank is going to lend you money at 7%. If anything, there's going to be a higher spread over what the bank would lend you in most cases. So it's been a little tough. And it kind of, the data corroborates with what I'm saying, because the overwhelming majority of deals that are being done this year are cash deals. So if you're cash rich and you have tons of liquidity, you can probably get some pretty good deals in this market. It looks like someone's home all the way at the top of Trump Tower. Look at that. WAD Banks is 6.5, 30-year. is normal or average, 1960 to 2024, for sure, in terms of the interest rate. But the problem is, Wad Banks, is valuations haven't really come down to match where prices should be. Now, I'm not one to say where prices should be. The free market determines that. But generally speaking, right, if we want to generalize, there's just like a bond, right? If you just think about, you know, anybody who is a banker and you would issue debt, just like a bond, the way a bond trades is if the bond is getting bid up, the rate adjusts down. And if the bond is being sold off and it's getting crushed, well, then the rates adjust up. Usually in the real estate market, valuations and rates are inversely correlated usually. So the problem is, over the last 12 years, everybody has accumulated so much real estate at pretty much free money. So they don't need to fire sale their assets to you. I mean, in a lot of conversations with sellers, they're like, okay, well then if I'm not getting any bids next to where my ask is, and they don't really need to sell if they have a ton of equity, and if they have tons of liquidity and they don't need to sell that place to roll into another deal or to, you know, invest somewhere else, they'll just keep it off the market. And we haven't really seen this before. And again, it's not to say prices haven't come down. They have. Slowly but surely these price cuts are coming. But to generalize, the Fed, I think, has overcooked this thing a little bit. Maybe a lot bit. Over 12 years of low rates. So I think you're going to have higher for much, much longer. You know, people have, I saw this one guy on Fox News the other day. He was like, you know, in order to get the real estate market moving again, you know, we're calling on Fed Chair Jerome Powell to lower rates. Dude, you can't undo, okay, a decade of QE with 18 months of quantitative tightening. It's going to need a little bit more time to work its way through the system to get these valuations where they kind of should be. I don't know. I mean, nobody really knows what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but let's check out the wasted taxpayer dollars on the congestion pricing cameras. So New York City was supposed to roll out the congestion pricing already. There was so much backlash that the governor of New York State, Kathy Hochul, decided not to go forward with the congestion pricing anymore. So we have all of these expensive cameras all over the city for pretty much nothing now. That's interesting. Hey, Sabrina Fair, what's up? Good to see you. A collector's dreams, they'll probably bring it back after the election. Lizzie Hatch's last 2 offers on my house were all cash. How were those offers? Oh yeah, Lizzie, you were telling me you were trying to sell. That's awesome. 5 to 10 day close. That's pretty good. Hopefully you got the number that you wanted. Congrats to you. Very cool. Dutchman AZ, what's up? Mike, New York. Hey, Mike. T3 says cash is king, so true. All right, so so I guess we'll do some predictions here, because we do, you know, have some conflicting thoughts in the chat, which I think is fun, which is good. What do you guys think for next week with new home sales? You think we're going to beat expectations, or do you think we're still going to see a slow slog? Jay says, what is my favorite index fund? I guess it's the S&P 500, right? This is the main entrance. You have 3 distinct entrances here. The first one right there is the residences. So if you own or you rent an apartment, At 1 Central Park West, you would go in door number 1. The middle door is the hotel, which this is a really nice hotel, by the way. 1 Central Park West, the Trump International Hotel and Tower. This is definitely top 5 hotel in the city. And then door number 3, where these ladies are walking out of, that is Jean Georges. That is the Michelin star restaurant. And if you ever stay here, try to ask them for a room facing Central Park. You have the most astonishing views here because you could see all of Central Park. You could see that beautiful sunset over the Upper East Side, but you could see each individual building on Billionaires Row too, which is quite nice. We always talk about this building on the corner of West 61st Street. This is one of the most sought after buildings in New York. This is 15 Central Park West, also known as the Limestone Building. The former CEO of Goldman Sachs has, I believe, his primary residence here. Lloyd Blankfein. Beautiful, beautiful building. Now, they launched sales here during the Great Financial Crisis, and it's still sold out, and it's sold for very, very aggressive prices in terms of price per square foot. But I've always said, if you go and look on Street Easy or any of the listing services, if you're gonna buy in 15 Central Park West, okay, I would not advise the westmost tower. Even though it's a little bit taller, try to stay in the front tower and just get a little bit higher than the tree line of Central Park. That's like the most unbelievable view. It's pretty astonishing. So if you can get the building closest to the east, right on Central Park West, and just sitting above the tree line, that's the most unbelievable view. Because when you're sitting down, right, I think we talked about this concept before, think about it like this. Imagine you buy one of these massive, skyscraper right here, like 157. If you're sitting down in your living room, what's your view? Your view is just the blue sky, right? You're not really gonna see too much, which is still beautiful. I'm not saying it's not beautiful. But if you're sitting down in your bedroom or your living room or the kitchen, and you sit down, your view, you could see all the building tops of the Upper East Side, and it's like you're floating on the canopy of Central Park. It's unreal. That's why taller is not always better, right? Higher is not always better, because you have to think about the views when you're living. So if you're touring an apartment, you look at the view when you're standing, but most of the time when you're in your home, you're gonna be sitting down. So you wanna make sure you kinda account for that. That's why in South Florida, sometimes, especially if you're gonna live right on the beach, I think the highest floors are not necessarily the best to purchase. Get a floor that you could still see the ocean in the horizon. Anyway, that's kind of my tangent for the night. This is the main rotunda, the Valet, at 15 Central Park West. Really, really beautiful and exclusive building. Out and about, there's a lot of the tall condos, the elevators don't work. The elevators don't work? I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about that. You can see 432 Park in the distance there. Hey Connor, what's up? Oh, is that right, Zozo Bob? I think you told me about that. That Melania Trump was looking at an apartment here a few weeks ago. I didn't know that. Maybe she's gotten sick of living in Trump Tower. Who knows? It is a nice building, I'll say that. Hey, Jituni. This is watching from the Philippines. What's up? Here we have a Target. No Walmart's allowed in New York City. You know what, since we're up here and since the High Line is closed, let's just take a quick peek at Lincoln Center. We were here last week, but we'll come here again. Now here's the backside of 1 Central Park West. And the very, very top of Central Park Tower. Tim says, hey Tom, any plans for July 4th? I really want to stay in the city and watch the fireworks because they're moving the fireworks back to the west side. So they're going to be on the Hudson River, which is, I think, where they should be. It's best for that. I think the viewing is better there. The people in New Jersey can see it better, like if you're going to be in Hoboken. So I'm excited. I love the 4th of July. And, you know, please God, fingers crossed, I'll be able to be in New York City for that, watching it on the west side. Peters to see if the disco ball at Lincoln Center is still spinning. Definitely will do. Let's wait for the light. So we kind of spoke about new home sales that are going to be coming out next week. But next week is also going to be a major week on the street for inflation. The Federal Reserve's Preferred Inflation Index, the PCE, is going to be coming out on Friday or Thursday? I think Friday, to end the week. And these inflation data, particularly CPI, PCE, is a very, very important factor that the Federal Reserve and all the Fed presidents take into account as the next FOMC meeting approaches to set the tone or set the pace of monetary policy. So it'll be interesting to see, but with the data we got out last week with existing home sales, the median home price in the United States hitting a brand new all-time record high at $419,300, not looking too hot, right? Not looking too, oh, look at that. I think it's a silent disco here. Let's check it out. But not looking too good for prospects of inflation to come down. Because if you think about CPI, 40% of the index is shelter costs, right? And there's a really good visual, I always say this, if you type !CPI in the chat, it's going to bring you to that infographic where it will show you inflation trends in all the different subcategories. Shelter costs, energy, food away from home, food at home. Very important that you keep tabs on that. And shelter has come down, but it's been a very, very slow grind lower. Okay, let's cross here and let's investigate what they're doing at Lincoln Center, because it looks kind of cool. Colton Manning, what's up? Angelo is here, Jennifer. Professor Dario says, yeah, they have the crystal ball in the center. They had this last year too. We'll check it out. I think it's called a silent disco. Hey, Mock Eats. What's up, Tom? I'm out late 42nd and Park. Ah, very nice. Cool. I'm sure you would agree that it feels like South Florida in New York today. It's 60% humidity and about 90 degrees out. Have you been following Copa America? Yeah, I watched US play today. They won 2-0. Christian Pulisic had a really nice goal. And I think Argentina Leo Messi plays on Tuesday. And Argentina won their first game at Copa America. They beat Canada 2-0, I think. So, yeah, Pulisic had a really nice goal 2 minutes into the game. And they looked pretty sharp. US looked really, really good. But I'm most excited about Tuesday when Argentina plays. So, yeah, I watch soccer every chance I can. All right, everybody, here we are at the outdoor disco. Here at Lincoln Center. Let's walk around the other side and see what it's like.
Okay.
Sunday night in New York, lots of people are out. And being that it's almost 10 p.m. Western Mass tapes, I don't know, I find it a little bit silly. For sure, for sure. You definitely need to have some sort of maybe hallucinogenic going on, something like that. Or some people just like it. Wow, you can see the fountain on.
Oh my goodness. We're home now.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Look at the canine dog. Imagine what's going through the dog's head right now. He probably has no idea. He's like, what are all these people doing? The dog's just not into it. So funny. What's up, Jonathan? I think they have a DJ up there. Oh, it just ended. At least we got to see a little bit of it. What's up, Joe? Lincoln Center Night Market, presented by JP Morgan Chase. And I think it's free. I don't think you need to pay anything to get in. This is all newly renovated inside Lincoln Center too. Alright, let's start to head downtown. Yeah, Yeah, Professor, the former Avery Fisher Hall, for sure. Pretty cool. On the corner, that's that PJ Clark's. I'm not a big fan of it. What I'm convinced is the best burger in New York City is right on the corner of 59th Street and 7th, Carnegie Hall. And it's called PJ Carney's. It's a good spot. It's like a little hole in the wall bar, but they have pretty good burgers. Rich New Yorker says the atrium is great, free co-working space. Yeah, there's one literally right here. And there's also another one right outside my office that's connected to the Trump Tower. That one's really good too. And most of them are open till 10 p.m. We're now going to merge back on Broadway. It's a nice Tesla Model X. Oh, Brad's Brain says, I've yet to find a solid burger joint in Houston. You know what's really, really good in South Florida, which is the best burger I've ever had in the entire world? It's in North Beach, Little Buenos Aires. This is the atrium that Rich New Yorker was talking about. David Rubenstein Atrium. It's called Burgers and Shakes, right on Collins Avenue in North Beach, or as they call it, Little Buenos Aires. That place is fantastic, and it's open at like, I think 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Correct. This is David Rubenstein from Carlisle. He has a really, really good podcast, The David Rubenstein Show. And I would highly recommend watching the latest interview with Bill Ackman. That's a good podcast if you're interested in private equity. I think my favorite, by far, oh, it looks like the sheriff closed this down. This has been happening a lot in New York. These marijuana smoke shops, they've been selling other things, and the sheriff of the city of New York has been closing them down. The unlicensed sale of cannabis and or cannabis products occurring within. Also other stuff too. I have a few cop buddies that say, well, I'll bite my tongue on that. Anyway, there's, if you're interested in private equity, I would subscribe to that podcast, and he has major private equity giants on all the time. Most recently, which is probably my favorite episode, when he interviewed Orlando Bravo. Now, if you don't know who Orlando Bravo is, he is the founder of, well, I should say the co-founder, right, of Thoma Bravo. And Thoma Bravo is a private equity company, private equity firm that specializes in enterprise software. And they are extremely successful. Most recently, and this is kind of funny because we've been speaking about cybersecurity quite often on the channel, Thoma Bravo just recently took private Ping Identity. Ping Identity specializes in the identity and access management space, or IAM cybersecurity. Their main competitor with Okta, which is also publicly traded, ticker symbol OKTA. And additionally, just maybe about a month ago, 30 days ago, they bought Darktrace, which is another cybersecurity firm. This is a good view of Billionaires Row. But yeah, that's it. Check it out. David Rubenstein and Orlando Bravo. If you just type that in on YouTube, it's about a 40-minute interview, a really good interview. Way back, well, I want to say about 2 years ago now, he had a great interview with arguably the best person and most successful person in private equity, Steven Schwartzman, which put out a good book about a year ago. Even if you're not interested in private equity, you should probably read the book. Just business and life advice in general. It's a fantastic book. The book is called What It Takes by Steven Schwartzman. Check it out. So if you're looking for something to read this summer, check out What It Takes by Steven Schwartzman. Also, I put out my 2024 recommended reading list, and I believe I included What It Takes by Steven Schwartzman. I believe I did. But anyway. Oh no, wait, Austin's Thoma Bravo bought RealPage recently, the company I currently work for. I didn't know about that. Let me take a screenshot of that, Austin. Wow, thanks for letting me know. Let me look that up right now. I'm actually quite curious. Hold on one second. I gotta pull off to the side for a moment. The boss is calling me. Little intermission. good, my friends. We are good. I have a question for the person who posted the real page thing in the chat. I'm sorry. Let me go back to your comments. Austin H. Who would you say is your main competitor? Who's the main competitor of RealPage? I'm blanking on the name of this company. It's this other big software company in that space. Anyway, I figured I'd just ask you direct. PagerDuty? No. PagerDuty is more like cybersecurity. RealPage, isn't RealPage like a property management? Anyway, I guess it doesn't matter. All right, let's curl around Columbus Circle here, and we'll start to head downtown. During the winter, this is a crazy wind tunnel here. Right as you enter the AC, BD, and 1 trains, there's also kind of like a little underground mall. Which has a lot of rodents. Just gonna say it, a lot of rodents in that underground shops at Columbus Circle. Yes. I remember I recently got pulled over on my little scooter down there in Miami. And this is the second time actually I've gotten pulled over, and the cop says the same exact thing to me. Pulls me over, he's like, you know, weed isn't legal here, right? Because he obviously sees my ID. I'm like, I don't smoke. I mean, he must see so many people coming from New York, getting pulled over in Florida. And since they're so acclimated to, you know, getting cooked in New York, that when they do it in Florida, they're like, oh my God, you know, it's a big no-no there. Gonna make this left on 57. Currently this is the corner of 8th Avenue. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Also, we did just email out our free investing newsletter on Thursday, which kind of gives a preface of everything that's going to be going on the week ahead on Wall Street. And we talked about the level of extension in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ over the 50-day. It's been arguably one of the strongest bull markets that I've ever traded through. We wrote a big piece in that article about semiconductors specifically, and we did a complete breakdown of the new, well, I should say the developers conference at Apple that could quite literally spark yet another global upgrade cycle, because if you watch the developers conference, all of these new AI tools in partnership with OpenAI, ChatGPT, they're only going to be able to be used on iPhone 15 Pro and above, right? So that means if you want to use any of these AI tools, you're going to have to get a new device. Same can be said for Macs and iPads. I think anything with the M chip or greater. So this could possibly spark a massive global refresh cycle, not only at Apple. I mean, think about desktops, think about in Androids, I equated this to during COVID, when, you know, chances are if you were working in tech sales, either on the hardware side at an OEM or on the software side, you were probably so ridiculously busy during the pandemic because everybody was ordering so much stuff to build out a virtual workforce. We may see that again. So if you want to read that article that I wrote, just go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen, punch in your email, and that's our Behind the Street newsletter. Just off to the left in this building, record closing here. Record closing, $110 million. Just sold and closed. The duplex that sits atop Central Park Tower. And this was the Eklund Gomes team at Douglas Elliman who completed that transaction with Gary Burnett. Now that we're standing directly under it, you can kind of get a glimpse of just how tall this thing is. This is the tallest building on New York City's Billionaires Row. And you have Nordstrom as the anchor tenant. Raphael says it's better than 432 Park. It's different architecture. Different developers, different architecture, different exposures too. Much different exposures. You can't compare the units at 432 Park and Central Park Tower. But my favorite one is 157 by far, because you have this perfectly centered view on Central Park. I think 157, even though it's the first building ever constructed, I think it's the best one. In terms of location, you're dead center on Central Park. Even though you have great views of Central Park from Central Park Tower, you know, you're a little bit over. You know, let's just face it. And I'm gonna be honest, some of the floor plans are not the best at Central Park Tower. The living rooms are super narrow in some of the units and kind of cramped and small. But generally speaking, if you go through the 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms in every single line at 157, they're really good layouts, like really good layouts. Generous sized bathrooms, good sized powder rooms. It just flows. You know, sometimes, you know, when you walk into an apartment, you're like, this doesn't flow at all. This is very, let's just say, not good. That's why I kind of rip on 53 West 53rd Street a lot. I think it looks nice, but some of the units inside 53 West 53rd, it's just not good. I'll just be blunt. Because there's so many angles, it's like so angular that the ceiling heights are kind of low, like you don't know where to put things. It's just a weird building, I think. Some people love it, but I just think the layouts of some of the units at 53 West 53rd, just like with the angular, triangular, you know, sloping ceilings, it's just very awkward. That's what I'll say. Let's take another look here. Yeah, Melissa 2087. Looks like there was a wedding at Carnegie Hall. That's crazy. Imagine having a wedding at Carnegie Hall. That's awesome. Hey, Doc Sevens is reading The Kings of New York. Starting with Steve Ross, Redeveloping Columbus Circle. Really good book. Yeah, Related did the AOL Time Warner Center, right? Is that correct, Doc 7? I think it was related, and then obviously now it's called the Deutsche Bank Tower. But I believe that was related who did that. Now, the funny story about Columbus Circle is this. When we walk around Columbus Circle like we did tonight, the impression of most people is, wow, this is really, really high rent district, beautiful buildings, the neighborhood couldn't be better. Central Park South, you're right at the corner of Central Park, it's gorgeous. It didn't always used to be like that. That was a rough area, right at Columbus Circle. Right where the Deutsche Bank towers are. It was this dilapidated convention center, because what happened is everybody familiar with the Jacob Javits Center? If you're not, the Jacob Javits Center is like the state-of-the-art convention center that is just north of the Hudson Yards. Like 34th Street, Penn Station, you go all the way to Hudson Yards. That's Jacob Javits Center. But prior to the Jacob Javits Center, the main convention center used to be right there at Columbus Circle. So when they built Javits Center, there was obviously no use for that one anymore. So it was all busted down. There was tons of homeless, tons of drugs, tons of crime. And it used to be a bus stop for people who would go travel to upstate New York to see their families that were incarcerated in the prisons up there. It was like a special bus stop for that. And I believe Related took a big risk to build those AOL Time Warner Center, those two big towers. And the conversation around that time when they were going through with the plans to build it is nobody's going to want to buy or rent in a building that kind of resembles the World Trade Centers, right? Because remember, this is post 2001, and if you look at the Time Warner Centers, it has two towers. Now, it doesn't look exactly like the World Trade Center, but people were like, it's a stigma thing, nobody's going to want to do it. Obviously, they did it anyway, and it was a freaking smash. Extremely successful, revitalized the whole neighborhood, which made way for, you guessed it, 15 Central Park West. See, not a lot of people know about that. There would be no 15 Central Park West if it wasn't for that big move, that big play, right there at Columbus Circle. And now that's one of the best neighborhoods in all New York. All right, let's continue to head down. And if you're interested in kind of the New York City real estate business, that's a good book that Doc 7 mentioned, but what's also another good book, and it's a really, really talented journalist, by the way, Catherine Clark. She's one of the top real estate reporters at the Wall Street Journal. She actually wrote her own book. It's called Billionaires Row. She's super talented. She's a great storyteller. You know, there's some books that you read and it's just like, I can't even get through it because it's such a snooze fest. Not with her. She's really talented. So the way she writes, she's a very good storyteller. So if you're looking for a good read this summer, check out Billionaires Row by Catherine Clark. Hey, Scholar's here. What's up? TK Porsche is Tom. Douglas Elliman just listed the current highest priced property in Orange County, California. Wow, 150 million. Let me see. Let me take a screenshot of that. 42 acres. Who's the listing agent? Awesome listing. Love that. This is the Sheraton, New York. If you guys are enjoying the live stream, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Looks like more scaffolding's going up here. I briefly mentioned the food delivery bicycle guys last night because I was talking about how I've been seeing so many head-on collision accidents from the food delivery bike guys. I saw another just horrible accident today. right on the corner of Madison Avenue and 42nd Street with the food delivery bike guys. Because the problem is, here's the problem. It's not the food delivery bike guys. It's some of the newer people that are coming here that sign up for the food delivery bike stuff. They do the right thing by biking in the bike lane, but they don't understand that bike lanes in New York City are one way. It's not two way. So you see a wave of bikes blowing down the bike lane, and then you see this one guy comes out of nowhere up the wrong side, and it's like a kamikaze missile and just explodes all of them. I've seen this like 4 times now, and today was a bad accident, like a really bad one. Like those guys were down probably for 5-10 minutes. So if you're riding a bike in New York, make sure you bike in the correct direction that the bike lane is supposed to be utilized in. Particularly around scaffolding. This is the BNP Paribas to the left. This is the French Investment Bank, 787 7th Avenue. And the lobby is really beautiful in here. I don't think I've ever showed you before, but what do you guys think? If we go down a few more blocks, we're going to run into the Barclays Investment Bank, which used to be Lehman Brothers. Hey, what's up, Ed?
Yeah, I just posted it on my story.
This is what the inside of these things look like. Monte Cristo. Is this where you ate? The Majestic? Monte Cristo. I think this is a new spot. I don't remember this being here. Ah, Professor Dario. It's called Majestic now. All right, we'll take a look at it. There's a lot of turnover on this block, like a lot of turnover. This deli, I think, has been named 50 million different things over the years. I think the question is, was it any good? I never really eat over here. Hey, Sonia C, what's up? Long time no see. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Here's Barclays, that was the old Lehman Brothers. Thomas GS says, Tom, do you know the Power On newsletter from Mark Gurman of Bloomberg? I don't, but let me take a screenshot. And I always love reading other people's stuff, so let me check it out. Do you recommend it or what? Looks pretty busy. I took you guys to Katz's Deli over the weekend. That place is, I mean, if that place ever goes out of business, whew, that'd be a big loss. It was already a massive loss when Carnegie Deli went under. So I think we need to protect Katz's at all costs. See the ball pretty clearly tonight. Let's make this right. We'll try to go around Times Square tonight. I think it's going to be too crowded. Hey, Tim says I'll be there in a week. Super excited. Love that. Oh, is this the Euros, right? So it's the Euros and Copa America. I watched the USA game today. Who do I want to win? I don't know. I don't really have a fight in any of these battles. I guess I'll say Italy. Who do you guys got for the Euros? I'll say Italy just because that's, I guess I'm Italian, so. For Copa America, obviously US. But if US loses, I guess I'll root for Argentina just because of Leo Messi. Soho Joe says Spain. Oh, speaking of Spain, did I tell you guys? This might have been last week, but I ran into Piqué, the famous, I think he was a center back for Barcelona and the Spanish national team. I ran into him right on 5th Avenue. He was with his two boys. And man, that guy is a giant. He must be like, he looked like he was 6'7". He was a giant. Looked like an NBA player. Gerard Piqué. Yeah, Thomas GS, Shakira's ex, that's true. Is Cristiano Ronaldo playing in the Euros? Hey, the Wizard, what's up? Good to see you. This evening, Tom. Hope all is well. Let me go back to your comment. Just moved to Florida. Wow, love that. About 3 hours away from your home in Miami. finding car insurance. The prices down here is absolutely ridiculous. Other than that, I love it. Wow, the Wizard. Well, congratulations on the move. That's awesome. Yeah, I could imagine. A lot of my friends use their addresses in New York for the car insurance because it's just so expensive down there. But that's awesome. I'm glad that you're getting acclimated to South Florida. Matthew, I'm just watching Ronaldo yesterday. They won. Awesome. It's crazy. It's actually hotter in New York City than it is in Miami. In the upside down world we live in. Second. Cool. Oops. Alright, cool. Cool. Good stuff. This is Numora. Is where is the guy who threw things from the building. I'll tell you his exact coordinates. 32nd Street and 2nd Avenue. That's his exact coordinates right now. Dave says, do I have a busy week ahead? I think so. You never really know. Honestly, you never really know until you get in the thick of things. And it's funny, whenever I look at my calendar and I'm like, you know what, it's going to be a pretty light week. That's when things like explode. It just really depends. So I think it'll be busy. I'm praying it'll be busy. I got some things to take care of. But we'll see. DC-322's Boeing stock will take a big hit. I mean, what about all those Boeing whistleblowers, guys? I mean, talk about crazy. I mean, I don't want to go too deep into the weeds in fear, but TK Porsche's Tom, Florida is becoming a buyer's market. Florida is a very, very big state, and Florida is an interesting state because it's almost a little bit like New York now, where you could have, there's parts of the state of Florida where the real estate is so prime and so pristine that it'll always trade at a premium. And then there's parts where it's like, you could almost say, okay, this is uninvestable. I mean, this is crap quality product, just not very good. But I would say, generally speaking, the market is softening. particularly if you want to talk about Miami-Dade, Fort Lauderdale, things like that, it's softening, but more on the condo side. And if it's good product, it's still trading at very high valuations. The excess supply is coming from a lot of this older inventory that's coming on the market, and we talked about why. There's going to be a lot of problems there with special assessments, and I think a lot of that stuff will be bought out by private equity. I think there'll be a lot of these older condos. Let's say if there's 70 units total, it'll probably be bought in a big block sale, and they'll demo the building and unlock the underlying land value, and the land is probably worth more than the entire building that sits on it right now, with all these new different rules and regulations to bring the building up to code. So, but in single family, if it's good product in Miami-Dade, it's still very, very tight. Very, very tight. All right, everybody. This is 46th Street and 8th Avenue. This big lot that you see right across from us is going to be a brand new development by Nextel. So if you look it up online, you want to see some of the renderings, just type in the torch by Extel, and this is going to be about 850 units worth of hotel, and there's going to be a huge drop ride attraction at the top. So the torch of the building is going to be, inside the torch, it's going to be this like amusement park ride on the top. It's going to be very interesting. 740 8th Avenue, I believe, is going to be the exact address. You can check it out. And it's going to be right across the street. And Extel, obviously the CEO, Gary Burnett, one of the greatest developers in New York City. And he just set a record last week for closing on that $110 million deal, the duplex that sits atop of Central Park Tower. This was the first triple-digit deal on a residential project in New York in 2 years, I believe. Prior to that, it was 220 Central Park South, when the CEO and founder of Citadel Securities and the hedge fund Citadel purchased the 3 floors at 220 Central Park South. Look at these 3 holdout buildings. I think the best example of a holdout in all of New York City is right at Rockefeller Center. Is anybody familiar where the Magnolia Bakery is? Right at 30 Rock? Well, if you are, that building is probably the most famous holdout of all time. The Rockefellers tried to buy him out, and they're like, nope, we're not selling. So they constructed all of Rockefeller Center around that low-rise building, which now just happens to be Magnolia Bakery. This is the corner of 45th Street. This big building right across the street where it says Row NYC. This is the largest migrant center in New York City. This entire hotel is being allocated to the migrants. See all the Broadway shows down there. So as we continue on 8th Avenue, we're going to pass the Port Authority bus terminal. we will go all the way to the Hudson Yards tonight and check out the vessel. And the vessel's going to reopen. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, please leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams every single day, starting at 8:45. This is Tom, very lively. Where are you? We are right outside of the Row, NYC, which is the largest migrant intake center in New York City. Hey, Will 34 says I was reading something about Florida coast. Florida coast being underwater in the next century or so. Nice. Now, you know what's funny that I always have a little chuckle? There's a new development being constructed in downtown Miami, and it's going to be literally right on the water, right on the Miami River. And they had to temporarily stop construction because there was so many artifacts that they uncovered from one of the oldest civilizations in the entire world. They're called the Tequesta Indian tribe, and you can look them up. There's actually, the University of Miami did a really interesting mini documentary series here, but thousands of years ago, the Tequesta Indians settled right along the riverbed in the Miami River. And this is one of the oldest civilizations in the entire world. So I have to laugh that the so-called experts say, you know what, in the next 20 years, Miami's gonna be underwater. When there's been an ancient civilization, one of the oldest recorded ancient civilizations. Their artifacts are still there, right on the freaking riverbed. So, if you think about probabilities, if you've ever taken a statistics course, like, what are the odds that these experts can predict that Miami, Florida is going to be underwater in 20 years, when over 5,000 years ago, their little tools and their, clothes are still sitting there right on the edge of the water in the Miami riverbed. It's the biggest, now, this is just my take, it doesn't mean I'm right, but I think it is such BS, in my view. I mean, think about it. Their artifacts are still there thousands of years ago, but just in 20 years, oh, it's all going to be underwater? No, it's nonsense. It's stupid. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm not advising anybody to do anything, but maybe I'm wrong. And let's say if it is. With modern engineering, humans are very good at adaptability. And if you haven't noticed, all the beaches in Miami, they have to put sand on the beaches because of beach erosion. So every year the shoreline in Miami gets eroded away, and they actually import the sand from the Bahamas and other parts of the world and refill the sand in. So flooding is a problem, but it's been a problem forever. But the notion that you're not going to be able to live in South Florida because in 20 years from now, it's just going to be totally submerged in water, total bullshit, in my opinion. Excuse my language. again, I want to be clear. Maybe the experts are right. Maybe they are. But that's just my opinion. And my opinion doesn't mean anything. But... Hey, Steve from Buffalo. Hey, Steve. This is Tom. Did you ever go to Snippers? No. What is that? I don't think I have. What is that? I mean, at the end of the day, we live on a very active planet. It's also quite possible that we have major volcanoes that explode and cause another extinction event, or I should say erupt. That's possible too. It's been happening for millions of years. Many experts believe that we're still in a technical ice age, but hey, what's also possible is a big meteor could come in and smoke the side of New York City and cause another major extinction event. That's possible. So I operate in the realm of what I can control. And I can't control whether a meteor is going to slam into the earth and cause another extinction event, which is entirely possible. That is entirely possible. I can't control, worrying about whether, Miami or New York City is not going to be habitable, because that's a waste of my time. I can only focus on what I can control. If I was worried about all of this stuff, I would never be able to get out of bed in the morning. Like, life would terrify me. So I just live within what I can control. I push ahead. And look, if we go through an extinction event, I won't be here to remember it. So I don't think it's that big of a deal for me. All right, everybody, here we are at the Port Authority. Soho Joe says Florida flooding is highly possible, though. Florida has been flooding forever, and we just had major floods in Miami. So no, I think your comment is actually incorrect. It's not possible, it's a certainty. Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale flooding is not possible. No, it's incorrect. It's 100% guaranteed certainty that's been happening forever. But the thing about Miami, it's very, very porous, the soil. It's all limestone. So just as fast as the water comes in, once the rain stops, it's dry in 24 hours. Particularly during the king tides. If anybody's been down in South Florida during the king tides, that causes crazy flooding. Now, additionally, I guess the last thing I'll say, if anybody's ever taken a history class, right, or read a history book, most civilizations are built on waterways, okay? Every major civilization, and you could even think about in more modern times, all the major cities are built on major ports of entry, or near the water in some way, shape, or form. Boston, New York, San Francisco, Miami, all of the big economic powerhouses, generally speaking, right, are built near water for quite obvious reasons, right? Just go back to ancient civilizations. They always have either planted things by the water because the soil's very fertile, right? If you think about the Nile River flooding, they wanted that because the soil would be very fertile, so they could grow crops and things like that. So it's been like that since the beginning of time on Earth. People want to live near waterways. Civilizations are built near the water. It's just the way it is. on the New Yorker Hotel. Almost stepped on another heroin needle today. Hey, what's up, sunshine after rain? What's up? Good to see you. Also, property values tend to be a lot higher near major waterways. Oceanfront, beachfront property is always a lot higher because it's desirable. You know, you want to live on the beach. If you live in California, you want to live right on the beach because it's beautiful. It's sunny every day, right? You want to be in San Diego. You want to be in LA. You want to be in San Francisco because it's gorgeous there. You could say the same thing about Miami, Florida. You know, Fisher Island, Star Island, it's paradise. There's pros and cons with everything, I guess. Same thing with a city like New York. Yeah, you know, we have our Hurricane Sandys where the flooding is terrible, but that's only for such a short amount of time. So people are willing to, you know, account and take the risk. K4 to San Francisco is the sewer. I'm not going to give up on San Francisco. I think it's a great city. Yes, it's going through major problems right now, but I'm a big cheerleader for San Francisco to come back. I think San Francisco is a great place. It's just unfortunate the politics has eroded the integrity of the city. It's horrible, but San Francisco is a very, very amazing place. And I think as an American, right, much of the economic growth, I mean, and I'm saying this as a New Yorker, but much of the economic growth, enterprise software, you know, cell phones, tech in general, we owe a lot to the San Francisco Bay Area as a country. Okay, I think that's fair to say. The innovation that has come out of the San Francisco Bay Area is unreal. So I think as a country, we owe a lot to San Francisco Bay Area. The world's greatest countries, the world's greatest companies have started right there. So, you know, I'm not ready to give up on San Francisco. And I think the world, not just the country, the world is going to be a very bad place if a lot of the talent leaves San Francisco. Which the good news is the talent is not leaving San Francisco. Regardless of what the media will tell you. I used to work in tech for 12 years, you know, a decade. I know a lot of friends in the venture capital space, and much of the VC dollars are still, by an overwhelming margin, are being allocated to the San Francisco Bay Area. Still. So, hopefully it'll change, but it's a great city in America for sure. All right, guys, we finally made it. Here we are at 34th Street. This is a pretty good shot of the Empire State Building too. Hood Patriots. Donald Trump was just in San Francisco for a dinner with tech giants. Hey, what's up, Lemonade? TK Porsche, as the reform candidate, was brought down, unable to name some prominent LGBTQ+ persons. That's their focus, not crime and business. Cole says, everyone moving to North California, please don't move here. Oh God. Hey, what's up, Dinesh? Thank you for watching. All right, we're actually going the wrong way. We gotta turn around. I gotta take you guys to the Hudson Yards. We're going the wrong way. There's Madison Square Garden.
No.
Madison Square Garden looks pretty cool today. 91 says there's more people leaving San Francisco. Oh, more people staying in San Francisco than leaving. Yikes. That's a loud horn. Let's go ahead and make a right on 33rd Street. And let's head to Hudson Yards. Check out the Equinox Hotel. Also check out Black Rock. Black Rock has moved from Midtown East. They have a beautiful building at the Hudson Yards, 50 Hudson. Yeah, Professor Dario. It's very, very windy. It's always kind of windy the closer we get to the water. Right as we make this right, it's probably going to hit us with a pretty massive blast of wind. Just to the left is the Moynihan Train Hall. Speaking of San Francisco, we got Roy. Roy, what are you seeing since your ground floor there in SF? You starting to see things change for the better? What are your thoughts? Now, if I was moving to San Francisco, which I'm not, I would never move to San Francisco. I'm too much of an East Coast guy, but I think the decision is very clear now. If you're gonna buy something versus renting, totally buy something in San Francisco now. Because the prices in San Francisco are being crucified. People are just fire selling their units. I would absolutely buy something there. I think if you have an 8 to 10 year hold horizon, I think you may, I mean, it's gonna sound crazy, you may actually double your money. They are, depending on what you buy, what you get. Uh, 161 is the diner up this block on 9th. No, a lot of this stuff, I'm trying to think. Are you talking about the diner that was across from B&H? I think that's now a smoke shop. I think. It may still be there, I don't know. Yeah, Doc Sevens, Hudson Yards, related, they do really good work. They do. That they do. You know what I was looking at today? I had somebody mention to me the brand new Mandarin Oriental on Brickell Key. You can check it out. I believe Swire Properties is running development there, but it's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, it's not the original Mandarin Oriental that's on Brickell Key. It's going to be the new residences there. Check it out. Now, this is 1 Manhattan West and 2 Manhattan West. Hey, what's up, Natalie? Thanks for joining. Here's B&H. Ellis, have I seen Back to the Future, the musical? I have not. I don't really go to too many shows. I probably should. The only show that I go to is that the Rockettes Christmas Spectacular. That's worth the money, I'll say that. If you're in the city during the holidays, the Radio City Music Hall Rockettes Christmas Spectacular show is fun. That's a fun show. Yeah, Zozo Bob says it's going to be the tallest building on Brickell Key by a long shot too. Hey Tina Johnson says good evening Tom. Can you tell me what hotels are close to the theater at Madison Square Garden? What's a good hotel around this place? I would say stay away from 8th Avenue. Honestly, I wouldn't want to have you stay in a hotel on 8th. It also depends on what your budget is, but you know, it's a little bit of a walk, but there's this new hotel that's just recently opened. It's called the Kipton Theta Hotel. Let me pull it up on my other phone. It's actually quite nice, and it's affordable, and the rooms are pretty big. Oh, my phone died. But check that one out. It's close-ish, but I don't know, the 34th Street Herald Square kind of scene, particularly 8th Avenue, Penn Station, it's not really nice to stay at, honestly, just to be very blunt. Not the nicest environment to stay. So maybe you want to check out that one. There's also another one that's, if you send me an email, I'll give you some exact suggestions, but that's the one that I know that's in walking distance, where it's clean. It's brand spanking new, the hotel. Big rooms. The Kipton Theta. Theta. Now, if you have big bucks and you want to stay somewhere super nice, you can stay right here at the Equinox Hotel. I'll see it in a minute. It's the building directly behind the Edge. And that's walking distance, but generally speaking, to be honest, 8th Avenue, 34th Street to 42nd Street is kind of my no-go zone. All right, we're coming up on 10th Avenue here. Now this building is BlackRock. We were just talking about that recent interview with Larry Fink. He was talking about how we need a new financial system because the global debt is out of control, and he has no confidence in anybody reading and spending. 50 Hudson Yards. That's the Edge. Adam Luke says, how do you get from the airport to downtown? Are you talking about like Midtown? Well, the easiest way, in my opinion, when you land at JFK, exit the terminal and find the air train. And when you get to the air train, you're going to take it to the last stop, which is going to be Jamaica Station. And when you get to Jamaica, Queens, walk to the Long Island Railroad. And you could take a straight shot to one of two places. Number one, you could go to Penn Station, which we just walked to. But number two, you can now do the East Side Access Project, where you could take the Long Island Railroad to Grand Central Station, which is 42nd Street on the east side. That's the most cost-efficient way. I think an Uber is an absolute ripoff. I mean, sometimes, and I think I've actually taken a screenshot on this, but there's sometimes where the Uber ride is more expensive than my flight to Miami. And I'll spend like $80, $100 on the flight, and the Uber is like 175 bucks. So I always try to give myself time. I try to take public transportation. That's what I try to do. Someone says, what about the upcoming debt spiral? I don't think we will have a debt spiral. We've talked about this before, and I also wrote about this in our investing newsletter. For those of you who have not signed up, if you want to receive all of our equity research, we send it out every other Thursday. But there's a good possibility we may grow out of this mess due to AI and the like. But I do agree that I don't understand it. I don't understand why Congress continues to spend when interest rates were in the most aggressive tightening cycle we've ever been in over a decade. So every 100 days, our national debt grows by $1 trillion. Every 100 days, we tack on another $1 trillion. Crazy. So you would think we would kind of rein in the spending. But we'll see. I think it's quite possible that with all these new technologies, we may be entering a hyper-growth phase. We kind of saw inkling of this at the developers conference. In order for these AI tools to be compatible, if you want to use them, you're going to need a whole hardware refresh cycle. And that's kind of why you're seeing that positive price action in Dell. I think you're going to have a whole full hardware refresh across the board, both iOS and Android. So that could potentially juice some returns. But yeah, I sent it out Thursday. It's called the Behind the Street newsletter. It's completely free. Thank you all for reading. We have 5,000 retail and institutional readers, so I appreciate all of you. Go check it out. Here we are at the vessel. Look at how beautiful this thing is. And good news, the vessel will be opening soon. Now, the Equinox Hotel is right here. This big, massive monstrosity of a building. And on the first landing here, right here, this is the pool. There's an outdoor pool, which is really, really nice. But the Hudson Yards, and I always say this every time we come here, it's like a city in another city. The Hudson Yards is big enough to be a whole other city than New York City. State-of-the-art Class A office towers, all brand new luxury condos, and you have a state-of-the-art mall. The shops at the Hudson Yards. There's a lot of good dining here too. If you ever come to the Hudson Yards during the holidays, decorated really, really nicely with holiday decorations. It's very cool, right? Now the building to our left is called the Shed. And this building is actually on wheels. So it can retract in and out. You can kind of see the divot where the building fits in. It's very cool. It's beautiful here. And this used to look a lot different. I mean, my God. This used to be all auto body shops, just not too good. There used to be, if anybody remembers this, maybe if you are an OG New Yorker, anybody remembers the drive-through McDonald's that was right here? My freshman year of college, I would get off the train at Penn Station. I would walk, oh look at that Cybertruck, right here. I would get off the train at Penn Station, walk west. I would go to that McDonald's and get like a biscuit before I would head to class. But yeah, there was a drive-through McDonald's that got bought out, and now, fast forward a decade, you have this massive area of Hudson Yards. It just used to be all train yards like this. This is the West Side Yard for the Long Island Railroad, where they do a lot of maintenance on the cars. And now you have just like this utopia of buildings. It's amazing. Take you guys down here. Wow, look at that camera rig. That's a real professional setup right there. That's probably about a $15,000 camera. So this is the Equinox Hotel, everybody. You can see the valet here. I think they also opened up this Starbucks. What the hell? I'll take you up to the entrance. This is 35 Hudson Yards. Really beautiful lobby. I think the ceiling heights in the lobby should be a little bit bigger though. Don't you kind of feel that this is a little bit claustrophobic for a lobby? Not to be super critical, but usually in a lot of new developments, you want to have this grand entrance, if you will. At least that's what I would want. We'll loop around to the hotel and the Equinox. But very strategically placed, right? Because you have BlackRock right here. So when you have employees flying in from all over the country, they could stay in this 5-star Equinox hotel and they could nail them for $1,000 a night. Here's the main hotel entrance. It's beautiful though, isn't it? There's a Soul Cycle here. They did a really good job on the landscaping. Felix says, I'm actually shocked Tom didn't go straight to the Park Cybertruck. We're gonna get there, trust me. That is where my nose is going. We will go to that Cybertruck. Let's cross. I'll show you the brand new Hudson Yards train terminal. So they've extended the 7 train line, which they really did need to extend the subway over here because this is deep. This is a deep, far hike to come. So if you want people to actually come here to work in offices and live, you're gonna need public transportation. So and they have a brand new state-of-the-art subway terminal where you can get the 7 train. which is an awesome straight shot because something fun to do. If you get on the 7 train and take it to the last stop, it's called Flushing Main Street. Flushing's amazing. That's the biggest Chinatown in New York. And some of my favorite restaurants are there. So the last stop in Manhattan is Hudson Yards. The last stop in Queens is Flushing Main Street. And here, this is brand new. Everything's state of the art, modern. I'll try to give you a little bit of a peek down there. You can see the 7 Flushing Main Street train, 5 minutes. And look at how convenient it is for BlackRock. Beautiful lobby. Lots of nice contemporary art. Now, I'll take you to the Jacob Javits Center. Arius has ever been to Europe? I haven't been to Europe, but I really want to. From talking to many of you in the chat, many of you advised that I would like London. So I'm down. I just won't go to London in the winter though, because I can't stand cold and the rain and the nasty weather. But I'll go to London in the summer. I'm down. So this is the Jacob Javits Center. There's a big glass structure here. And if you remember a little bit further back in the live broadcast, we were talking about the old convention center that was right at Columbus Circle, which Related they bought. And they built the Time Warner Center, which is now Deutsche Bank Tower. Ooh, that wind is a true crazy wind. Now, all these big high-rises that you see in the distance, this is all brand new. None of this was here. So if it's been a while since you've been in New York, chances are everything you're seeing right now is brand new. You know, the skyline of New York City has changed in a pretty major way. Let's cross by this hot dog guy. So this is the back side. I can't see over this wall, but let me know what's over the wall. What do we got? Anything exciting? I think it's just a vacant lot. This is a pretty cool view. downsides about Hudson Yards is crazy windy. Now when it's nice out and when it's 90 degrees and beautiful in the summer, it's no big deal. But imagine this wind when it's 20 degrees out. It almost makes this place uninhabitable. This is the West Side Yard. So if you've ever taken the LIRR and they say last stop, everybody needs to get off. The train is now going to the yard facilities. Well, this is what they're talking about. This is the yard facilities right here. You know, it's actually kind of peaceful over here. Here we have our Cybertruck. Let me see if the wide angle lens is any good. Filming a whole video of it. I think Elon Musk should be paying me a commission. You know, it's gonna sound crazy, but this view right here just gave me a little bit of a flashback to when I was in Tennessee. So I was in Nashville, and I don't even know what this bridge was called. Maybe we have some viewers from Tennessee. But I was walking from Vanderbilt to downtown Nashville, and you had to walk over a bridge similar to this, and you could see train tracks just go on for miles. It was kind of peaceful. It was kind of beautiful. But yeah, Nashville, Tennessee, if you walk from Vanderbilt to downtown Nashville, you walk over this massive elevated bridge, and underneath you could just see these train tracks that go on forever. It was like being in one of those cowboy movies. It was wild. Anyway, If you guys enjoyed the stream tonight so far, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams pretty much every day, starting at 8:45. This is the High Line that's closed. Looks like that window got cracked. This is the main entrance to the shed. You see that random face up there? There's like a random but anyway, I think, we covered a lot of the first half of the stream. Next week we have inflation data coming out, the PCE index. We also have new home sales data coming out. So lots to talk about. It's going to be a full week on Wall Street after the shortened week due to Juneteenth. So I want to wish everybody a very successful week ahead. And we will talk to you all tomorrow live from New York. So thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. If you want to receive all of our free stock market research, you can do so by scanning the QR code on your screen, punching in your email, and you'll be signed up to our Substack, the Behind the Street newsletter. We have over 5,000 readers now, so thank you all for reading. And God bless. Have a great week ahead. So Patrick, New York, Theo, Colton Manning, Ivan, Angelo, NAV407, Sally, Professor Dario, thank you so much, Isaac, Mohammed, Victor, always a bull market somewhere, you just need to know where to look. Everything in Miami, take care. And signing off from the Hudson Yards. We'll see you tomorrow. Esmeralda, appreciate it. Western Mass Dave.